Probably when our lawyers phoned up the week before and said, don't run the poker tournament, you haven't got permission. From a business perspective, it worked, it was brilliant, but from a personal, I think I probably could have done it differently, been a bit kinder. The part is learning that the metro is okay. And I am learning my metro,
true,
and it's so easy.
Tell us.
If it's not a success, then I am like, someone needs to fire me.
Yeah.
Who needs regulators when we've got ourselves?
Yeah.
Can't use that.
At the end, it's not jail. You don't do it anymore. Okay. So let's release the pressure.
Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team we holding it down. We know we running it now.
So, Alex, welcome. It's
Thank you, Alex.
an immense honor to have you here. And now, so for various reasons, I know you for about 20 years. I started in this 20 years exactly. I started this industry in 2004. Back in time with B3W, Henri Etriard, who died from a heart attack actually a couple of months ago, which was my mentor. And we are at Ice, it's your show, Clarion's show, Ice and IGB in Barcelona for the first time in
89 years, 89.
Since?
Wow, whatever 89 minus 2004 is. A long time ago.
So I remember going, doing my first Ice in 2004 at Earl's Court.
Yeah.
Before it moved to Excel.
Yeah.
Okay. And back in time, you were running IGB, which was the affiliate business.
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I just forgot to mention, this podcast is called Under Pressure for two reasons. First
We
reason,
are under pressure.
you can feel the pressure maybe in your ear. Actually, I'm going to depressurize and you should do the same.
I'm doing a lot of yawning.
Okay. And not because the question I'm going to ask you are challenging, but more because of your journey as a founder and as an entrepreneur. Okay. So you started IGB at the beginning. That was in 2000?
No, I joined 2004.
2004. So we started at the same time.
Yeah. So September, my first weekend in the job was, I started on a Friday and flew to Vegas on the Saturday. So it was the greatest first day.
So I started in October 2004.
Oh, wow.
And
so a month later.
And I remember meeting you. I was an affiliate and we were young. It was a very different setup. And please, can you tell us everything started? I think it started with Michael Caselli, right?
Well, actually, even before that, so it was started within a business called Sport Business, which was a kind of .com bust. They thought they'd create sportbusiness.com in the 90s, late 90s, where all sport deals would be done online, sponsorship, players, everything. It turned out no one wants to do that, so that failed. But out of that came a magazine called Sport Business. And then around 2000, 2002, they ran a supplement called iGaming Business within Sport Business because sport and gaming was starting to...
That was a magazine, right?
Yeah, so tiny little magazine inside the Sport Business magazine. And it didn't do that well. And the guy that was running at the time, a guy called Andy Rice, happened to meet Michael in a lift in Ice, Earl's Court, 2002. And Michael, if you know Michael, is like, I can do everything, I'll change it, I'll make it better. So Michael came on in, about late 2002. I joined in September 2004. And at that point, it was a magazine printed every 3 months and a couple of print newsletters. There was no web, no newsletter. I mean, there was a website, but if you look back, it was atrocious. So, no, and then it was just a huge journey from then onwards. But,
so when did the first event started?
God, it was, our first one, I remember, and I get the year wrong all the time. It was whatever the January was after UEGA. So UEGA's, I think, 2007. So I think the first affiliate event was January 2008. We saw an opportunity in affiliate from a publishing perspective. So I don't know if you knew Warren and Lou that owns CAP, CasinoAffiliatePrograms.com.
I think so.
So at the time, that was the big portal. That's where everyone was hanging out. And I saw an opportunity to actually bring this community together. I was a magazine guy, so we launched a magazine. Then UEFA came in that summer. There was an event that used to happen in Vegas next to G2E for affiliates, but because of everything that had gone on, no one was going to that one. No one wanted to get arrested.
Right. Yeah.
So there was budget everywhere, and everyone was like, we need traffic, we need players. Oh my God, the US is closing. So there was this opportunity, this moment in time of like, whoever launches first is going to win that market share. So we had no idea what we were doing. We actually booked Chelsea Football Club to back onto ice. And then about 2 months out, we got a call and apparently if they draw a game on that day, you lose the venue. So we lost the venue. Still, at that time, I had no idea getting venues was hard. So we happened to get Olympia. I now find out there's years waiting list for these. And Googled events at Olympia, found one, printed their floor plan, traced their floor plan, and away we went. And it was probably 300 or 400 people, and it was one of the best moments of my life. It's just I've just never done events, and I just remember a lot of people that aren't around anymore, but they were like coming up to me at the end and like giving me like bottles of whiskey and giving me stuff saying thank you, and I was like, well, this is like what, you're already my customer, why are you giving me more stuff? But no, it was brilliant. It was very it's very different. A lot of big learning curve from there.
And it's not your first time in Barcelona, right?
No, so then we launched European one that year, straight in again, backing on. And the thing we felt is that even back then, we felt there was too many events, and actually it was probably a tenth of what there is now. We just thought, to make things easier, let's back it on to Clarion's events at the time. So they had EIG in Barcelona, so we backed onto there. We called it, at the time it was called Cap Euro, wasn't called IGB.
So we could say you were piggyback.
We were piggyback
on ice.
Yeah, and actually it was, now I work for Clarion, it's easier, but there was probably some friction between the management team at Clarion and our management team. And
can you imagine?
We had some like private lunches with them where they would discuss or would infer that we were maybe leeching off the success of their events, but actually we weren't. It was bringing an entirely new audience. That affiliate audience and those affiliate programs, they might have been coming to ICE at a small level, but certainly they weren't going there to do business. So for me, it was trying to get them to understand actually all we're doing is completing the circle of the industry and actually adding a ton of value to them, but also getting value in return because their event's going on. So, which they got in the end because they acquired us. So
of course,
they must have known it's a good thing.
And now you're the CEO of Clarion. I thought you were the CEO of Clarion Gaming, but actually the CEO of all the Clarion group, right?
Not the whole Clarion group. That would make me incredibly wealthy and probably private jet time. So no, all of Clarion Gaming at the moment. I did have a stint where we acquired Affiliate Summit and a business called Traffic Conversion Summit, where we launched into the digital marketing space, so non-gaming, and launched that division there. But then I keep coming back into gaming.
But what about the healthcare parts and the military parts? You
don't oversee that.
You don't oversee that?
No.
So I thought you did.
It's at one point I was running a couple of divisions, but it's just particularly around COVID. There's so much going on in gaming and so much opportunity that actually, in order to really drive through the strategy that we had, I had to kind of really focus my time back on that whole gaming division.
What kind of opportunity, if you can talk about it, of course?
I think that when they acquired iGaming business, we obviously, as part of the acquisition, we did a lot of analysis. And I'd say the positives that come out of someone like Clarion is it's a really reliable, like they tick all the boxes on health and safety, what they say they'll deliver, but they were also seen as, I guess, more of a corporate, less of a relationship with the sector. On the other hand, iGaming business, you might walk into the event and forklifts are still driving around and stuff's falling off, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Yeah. But we were part of the sector. We'd grown in it, we understood it, we wanted to partner and grow within it. So actually, part of the opportunity is how do we take on the good stuff like reliability, but also realise that continue to be a partner to the sector. And so when I took over gaming in 2012, 2020, I think, yeah, end of 2020,
Yeah.
I felt that Clarion had lost a bit of that. I think they'd lost touch with the sector a bit. I think we'd not taken accountability for increasing costs, not our own costs, but costs from outside, like hotels and all these things. I'm not sure we've taken enough responsibility about being a vehicle and a window for responsible gaming, about driving innovation.
What you're doing now with what Eva Bakun is doing here in Spain. You're raising funds to fund sustainable gaming companies and projects, right?
Yeah, and look, for me, and I'll try to remember that, but I think there's always been, ever since being in gaming, there's been three kind of pain points. One is responsible gaming, player protection. One's around innovation and often lack of it. And the third is around emerging markets and regulation, how to tackle, understand and deal with that. And I guess I think as an event, and actually as the biggest event in the world for gaming, we're the shop window, not just for us as an industry, but for there's 360 regulators here. There's the legislators here, there's press. So actually we have a responsibility, and I think more so an opportunity to be that independent voice that can actually, like it's small things like, for me, we're about entertainment. We're an entertainment sector.
Right.
And
True.
I think we need to sometimes move some of the misconceptions of what gaming is and what gambling is. And actually it's purely about entertainment. Actually it is about a sustainable and responsible environment. So actually we have the ability to be able to display some of the amazing work that's going on in there, support some of the charities, but also like with the move to Barcelona, we're working on this legacy fund now. So we've created, in partnership with FIRA and the city, a ICE Research Institute. So we're starting to fund some academic research. They'll start to look at areas around problem gambling. And
what kind of research, for example?
This is Eva's bag. So Eva's bottle. I could tell you at a very high level some of the stuff she's looking at, but one of them is quite interesting. I think it's called Gambrain. It's one of the local universities are looking at it, and it's about whether there is either something built in our genetic code or in the way our brains work, certain people's brains work, that makes them more have a propensity to addiction or problem gambling. And actually if we can understand that, and it's a 4-year program, so it'll go on, if we can start to understand that, what can we then do to work with those types of people or that types of behaviour.
Very interesting.
I mean, if I think about I've got 4 kids, 2 are neurodiverse, and I start to think like my son and the way his brain works. He can hyper focus. He does, addicted is probably the wrong word, but he will get obsessed with things. He's very impulsive. If there was a red button, that red thing that releases all the oxygen in here, he would have pulled it by now. But not because he's challenging authority. It's just this part of his brain that makes him touch and feel.
Some kind of ADHD or something like that?
Yeah. So they're both diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
But it's interesting to think actually and we're going off on a massive tangent, but how can gambling work in a world of increasing awareness of neurodiversity? But I'm slightly interested in that. But that's one of the things she's looking at. And then she's looking at some stuff around AI and what AI can do on problem gambling as well.
So what are we doing on our side? For example, we are financing a study about psychedelics. So we know psychedelics have been proven to help people that have depression, that have other type of addiction like alcohol, drugs. But no studies have been done on people that have gambling addiction. Yeah. And I can't tell that much about it right now because it depends on the. I let the people who are doing the study to announce it themselves. Okay. But we finance 100% of it. It's going to come out Q1 this year.
Oh, brilliant!
And basically, they're going to take veterans that have gambling comorbidities. So people that have done war, that have gambling comorbidities. I think 8 of them. They're going to give them psychedelic truffles, not mushrooms, during a period of 1 week, I think 3 or 4 times, with therapy at the same time. Yeah. And they're going to take this group and look at the gambling habits before and after. Okay. And I think it's a very, very interesting field of,
It's fascinating.
of exploration.
Fascinating. And so I think it's so important for us as a sector to, like, at the end of the day, we want to run a sustainable business. I think both for, actually that's good for business, I think ethically, but also it's the only way that we will be able to engage with people like the regulators and the legislators in a positive way.
Yeah, we need to change the image of our industry. And actually, our industry changed a lot. I remember when I started 20 years ago, also as an affiliate, it's different. The affiliate world and the operator world is not the same. I think if we got IGB, we're not going to see the same thing that we see at Ice, obviously. It knows of perception of woman image is not the same there and here. But I've seen a very, very big change happening in 20 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
huge.
It's impressive.
And you think back to
In a good way.
well, that first event I went to in Vegas. So yeah, second day, it was Casino Affiliate Convention, doesn't exist anymore. Used to back onto G2E, and it was my first week in the job. I'd been in engineering magazines, so this was like an entire world of like wow. And the party was women mud wrestling in a casino that doesn't even exist in Vegas anymore. And I was like, what is this? It was just ridiculous. And actually that one, even back then, everyone walked out because it was...
Oh, really?
They had pushed it too far at that point.
Oh, wait, what were they doing exactly?
Like literally, the entertainment at the party was women in bikinis wrestling in mud in the middle of the party.
Yeah, typically from that era.
But no, there was, I think back then, there was some stuff that was definitely wouldn't be repeated now, but there's also some brilliant tactics, brilliant innovation, people really fighting for market share, but in a creative way where you didn't have normal avenues or channels to acquire players.
Completely. We couldn't buy traffic.
No. And then you had...
and that's why we call ourselves iGaming and online gaming. It's in order to not being very clear about what we're doing or when we're trying to buy traffic, for example, on Google or Facebook or any platform.
Yeah. No, and I was going to say, the one I remember is the monkey. Forgotten his name now, Mikey. Do you remember Mikey?
No.
You don't remember Mikey?
Or maybe, I don't know.
It was poker share. So Max Wright, who now owns is White Hat Gaming.
Yeah, I know him.
Back then, he had poker share and casino share, and they had a monkey that could play poker. And it was on Good Morning America. They tried to enter in the World Series of Poker. If you Google it, they probably got the letters going back and forth between, I think, is it Caesars that own WSOP, saying that he couldn't play because he is a monkey. Them saying actually, well, he's 99% DNA of human. And they said, well, but he might like poo on the table. And they're like, well, he will come with a nappy. And I don't think they got him to play in the end. But yeah, you could go to the conferences and meet Mikey and he would like play poker against you. And you had like you just don't see that level of creativity anymore. Mikey, I think, lives in a zoo now, very happy. And doesn't play poker so much anymore.
Okay, so you've created IGB in 2004 and you've sold it to Clarion, which year?
16, so we were actually
12 years.
So no, it was, so Sport Business was its parent company. That got sold in 2000 and...
Which one, sorry?
Sport Business was the original parent company. Okay. That was sold in 2007 to a really small floaty company on AIM called Electric Word. It's a guy that really kind of helped influence, like, I guess, the general direction I went in the future around subscriptions and data and being customer obsessed and also just embracing the stakes. And then from there we launched the affiliate events within that company, and then sold the whole thing in 2016. I think January 2016.
Okay. So now you're in a very different position. You're a CEO. You are on payroll.
Yeah.
You're not a founder anymore. Did anything changed in the way you perceive what you're doing?
It's interesting. I could see how logically things should change from a mindset perspective, but for me, I think whether I own a business, run a business. I'm in the middle of the business. I'm just obsessed. I'm obsessed with growing. I'm obsessed with winning. I can't stand still. So for me, from a mindset perspective,
It's the same.
I still want to just keep growing and delivering. And I can see this sector's especially, there's just so much opportunity. And I used to always talk about, actually, it's about choosing the right opportunity, because you could go after everything.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about actually just laser targeting, things like that. Look, I think it's also different. Like in a corporate business like Clarion, it is really different. There's I guess politics to a degree, which you have to learn to play, and there's lots of different stakeholders you have to manage. But interestingly, Clarion was originally a management buyout in the 80s from Earls Court. So it was set up by entrepreneurs, and the way they structure the whole business is I'd never worked in a big corporate, so I was expecting like handcuffs and not being able to do anything you want. And actually, I probably have had more freedom in Clarion than anywhere else.
You don't
it's
look
just
like...
you kind of do whatever you like, and as long as you're delivering numbers at the end of the year, everything's good.
When I see you, don't look like someone who has a collar. You're
so no, it's still brilliant.
Free spirit as before.
Yeah, no.
But okay, before that, maybe you can explain us the difference when you started and you were not established, and when you became established. What would be the year? When was the turning point when you felt that, okay, I'm okay now. I'm not gonna die.
Yeah.
You know, because at the beginning, it's you fight for your survival.
Yeah, we had some real moments of fear where we thought we were going to lose the business at times, and particularly those affiliate events. They went through quite a big upheaval where our customers. We were in a joint venture with casino affiliate programs, and it turned out, and everyone knows this, they can Google it, but it turned out the guys that owned CAP, or casino affiliate programs, were also operating their own casinos, which meant they were competing with their own customers because they also owned the events with us. So everything went a bit wrong at that point, where all the operators, and back then it wasn't 100 and 200 or whatever stands, it was maybe 40 or 50, so not that many people, formed their own groups called GAP, Gambling Affiliate Programs. And
I remember that.
Had a meeting in the Krasnopolski in Amsterdam to decide whether we should organise the events or not.
Wow!
And that's why we rebranded.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was really scary. I remember at the time thinking, my God, like if we can't survive, like everything we'd done for 2 or 3 years to build up to that point. But it's one of the reasons we rebranded as IGB Affiliate. To be honest, at the time, it was like we just needed a temporary name. We couldn't be called CAP anymore. We were still in a joint venture, so we couldn't. The deal was we would, and that's why, and no one really knows this, but London Affiliate Conference and Barcelona Affiliate Conference and Budapest or whatever, Sticker City Affiliate Conference, the only reason we did that was because we needed something generic, because we felt we could rebrand back to CAP, or they felt, and so we came to an agreement we could roll those out. Anyway, it turned out we were allowed to carry on running the events, and I think after that moment, it did feel like we had permission. We'd learned some big lessons. I think we made quite a lot of mistakes along the journey, but at that point, just really felt that actually we were part of that industry and part of that sector. And I think we grew. The greatest thing is that because we didn't know about events, we were forgiven constantly for all the mistakes we made, because everything we were doing was actually to help that affiliate sector grow.
Right.
And it wasn't always liked. People used to call it a necessary evil, like they'd moan about how much money they were spending on affiliates, and it wasn't something the board of those operators would necessarily engage with. So we were, part of us was to actually elevate this as a profession. I mean, we used to run it on a Friday, Saturday, because 50% of them didn't do this as a full-time job. So
yeah, I remember that.
So it was
the show was always the affiliate show was always on the weekend.
Yeah, and it was
because that was crazy.
Because loads of them a lot of those affiliates back then had normal jobs, and they either were just SEO geeks or like gambling.
It was such a different world from today, where you have like 3 or 5 big companies that bought everybody.
I mean, the great thing I love is when I look at people like Jesper and the guys at Better Collective, or Oi Vice, he's not so much in it anymore. And a lot of those older, they were all part of that beginning, and they were like young. They were young like us, like learning as well. And they're now running great big floated companies, doing really great stuff. But we've got pictures of them with like Superman, whatever it's called, cloaks on that say super affiliate playing poker. And actually, that was what was great about those days. It was, I hate to say like a family, but it did feel like that at times.
It was a young rising industry.
Yeah.
And now it has consolidated. It has become something really big. You know, it's very, very different. That's
different, but I still see people coming through the gap. Still see new ideas.
Yeah. Completely.
And that's what makes
Look at
me
the streamers,
excited.
for example.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember like 5 years ago, you suddenly had this emergence of these guys that just use social media, and they were like, "Why would I need a website? Websites full of old people."
Yeah.
And they've kind of moved, and someone else is taking that place. It's just, I think, especially in where we play online, there's always innovation and evolution, which is.
And now with AI, we're going to see a new wave of evolution, and we've seen a new wave of evolution in 2016 with stake coming. With cryptocurrencies and their proprietary games, or Gandon with the Steam wallet. You could play with your Steam wallet, so you have a magic sword that you won in a game, and you put that magic sword in your wallet, and it's I don't know how many hundreds of coins, and you can play and gamble with that. Okay, so we've seen massive evolution, I would say even revolution in gambling since 2016, because of this proprietary game that were non-gambling games as we used to know them. Like crash games, like Sprite, for example. 6 years ago, man.
I think it's incredible.
Look what they have achieved, and all these crypto casinos now. So we did have a revolution, and I think that's specific maybe to our gaming industry, and there's another revolution coming now with AI, I think.
No, I agree. In so many different ways. And it'll be interesting to see how people embrace that and who does what, because I think it's not necessarily obvious at this point. I think who the winner will be. But I remember even when mobile came in, people were like, "Wow, mobile!" No.
So I see some projects that are funded. I can't name them, but where they're going to use AI avatars that looks completely like a human being to replace live dealers.
Okay.
So that's a very interesting one.
And it makes total sense if you look at the speed of that technology.
Yeah, completely. You said you made mistakes. Is there one you want to talk about that you consider was because why I talk about that? I see that most of my successes are mistakes that were transformed into something. Into a success. If I look at all the big successes I have came from struggle or mistakes. Okay. So maybe there's one that you have in mind.
I mean, I've made a lot. Which is all no, but I think it's brilliant. Like, part of my culture, part of something I try to encourage is, because if you don't make mistakes, you're not testing, you're not moving forward, you're not trying things. Like, there's loads. I think at times, probably, I'm not sure what my biggest one would be. I think when I was young and I was aggressive, and I probably was too Street Fighter in the way I went about doing business, and probably wasn't sensitive to the world at times, but I think I've learned from that. I think big one for me, but you're right though, it does turn into an opportunity. I probably took risks at times that we probably shouldn't have. Like, one is maybe 2 or 3, God knows how many years ago, we ran the event in Barcelona. I think we were talking about it the other day. Probably when our lawyers phoned up the week before and said, "Don't run the poker tournament, you haven't got permission, and we suspect it might get shut down," I probably shouldn't have run a poker tournament that ended up getting raided by the police.
The Guardia Civil coming in.
And I think there's bits like some good lessons around being a bit more humble, a bit more vulnerable over time. I think we decided at an early stage we wanted to own the world, and actually there's space for more than just me. And I think in places like Amsterdam, you had Casino Affiliate Convention, and actually that was good to have a competitor, and we quite aggressively went into that space and rented the Pub Outsiders event and branded it with free drinks all day long. And actually I look back and I think, look, from a business perspective, it worked, it was brilliant. We ended up owning Amsterdam, but from a personal, I think I probably could have done it differently, been a bit kinder. So I think in the end, actually, it's not all about money. It's probably my lesson.
Yeah, that's one that's coming up all
but
the
maybe
time.
if I hadn't done that,
It's not all
we
about
wouldn't have
money.
the business we've got. But yeah, no, it's,
So, the funny thing about the Barcelona and the Cups coming from the poker tournament, we don't need to tell all the story, but 10 minutes before I came here to have this interview with
Yeah.
you, I went to see my friend Pedro from BetBlocker,
okay, yeah.
right? And there was like 10, 15 policemen around it.
Oh,
I said, what the fuck?
well, they've got a stand.
And I got a little bit scared, and they all look at me, you know, because and they all look, shit, what's happening? You know, they got a stand,
Yeah,
man.
I know. I walked past the other day. I was like,
They got
wow.
their own moves
The police
now.
have a stand.
And they come like in full uniform,
Yeah, it's
you
amazing.
know,
No, it is
parading
amazing.
around.
It is amazing. But that is, I mean, that's, I guess, that's one way the world has changed. We're now friends.
It's a change of the times, you know. It's interesting. Ice has moved after, we said, since 89, right?
89 years.
89. So 89. Let's make the calculations. 26 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you say that? No, 19, 10. Okay, let's 26 years. From London to Barcelona.
Yes.
Okay. So, could you tell us? So, it's first of all, my feedback. It's huge.
He's big.
It's really big. It's big and it's packed. Our booth is being packed with meetings. Literally, during 3 days, every single table is occupied. Okay. And I still didn't go to IGB that started yesterday.
Have you been in yet?
No.
It's crazy.
I didn't go. We have a booth there with another company.
They went over yesterday. They had, I think, just over 8,000 people in the room.
Right.
That's the highest we've ever had on day one. And I went in, and
I'm very excited to see
busy.
IGB. And I'm going to spend all day tomorrow to IGB. Can you explain?
By the way, good luck, because it's not open tomorrow.
It's what?
It's not open tomorrow. You've got about four. You've got about 4
Are you
hours
kidding
to
me?
get in
I
there.
thought it was open tomorrow. Oh shit! So it was 1 day shorter than Ice.
2. It was 1 day shorter. And to be honest, now we're going off topic, but I've said, why? Let's do 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't
Why?
cost us that much more, but apparently at the moment, and maybe they'll change their opinion, the exhibitors are saying actually 2 days is fine. They want to have a little look at Ice or do other things.
You know why? Because this is much harder than this.
Yeah.
This is much more demanding.
Oh,
because affiliates are crazy.
The noise, the atmosphere. One thing I love is when we have investors and things like that, I'm like trying to explain the affiliate market. I say, look, I'll just show you, and you walk from the Ice into there, and you just this feel this like wall of noise and energy, and they're
Feel
doing
the
deals.
the wildness.
And everyone's doing a deal, so it's brilliant.
So, what? I think I know the reason, but what is the reason why you moved from London to Barcelona? Why Barcelona and not another city? What are the challenges, the pros, the cons of being here? I mean, we're very happy. It's our home city since 2012. Lea was created in Barcelona in 2012. We're very happy that Ice is happening now in Barcelona. I think you guys are going to stay here for quite a long time.
Touch wood.
But why did you leave London, and why did you choose Barcelona, and what are the challenges and the pros and the cons?
Yeah, look, I think for me it had been an ongoing conversation actually for about 10 years with various different customers around should it still be in London. So you had that always hanging around. No one had really dealt with that as a conversation, partly because moving an event the size and scale of Ice is really hard work. it's
You're
one
what,
of the,
37,000 delegates now?
no, well, there last year 50,000, this year,
Wow.
so 50,000 individuals, but 110,000 visits. So they're visiting probably 2 days of the show of that 52,000, I think it was last year.
Wow.
So I don't know what it is yet for this year, but we'll see. So yeah, moving something that size scale, it is one of the biggest events Clarion owns. So actually, moving it is a financial risk. So it's not something we would necessarily would choose to do, but actually, if you don't continue to listen to customers and actually push down that way,
What was the problem with London? Too expensive?
it depends who you are. For some people, it is if you're bringing cabinets into there. There's additional red tape around import export and bringing those in. It was too expensive. Partly that's because we hadn't, and this is what I was talking about earlier, we as a company hadn't taken responsibility for the ancillary costs. So the hotels, we didn't have deal with hotels, and we couldn't get one because they were like, well, we know you're coming in, people were paying crazy amounts for really crappy hotel rooms.
True.
London itself is an expensive city, but it's also one of the greatest cities. So you you weigh that up. And then there's some practical stuff, like they're building a big extension on XL, but by 26, we were, based on our kind of forecast, that would have been full anyway. So we wanted, run a program. Luckily, we met a lady called Laurence and her husband Shankar randomly at a conference in Singapore, who happened to be experts on this stuff. If we had done it ourselves, it would have gone badly wrong, I think, because I thought literally, look, we'll phone a bunch of cities, we'll put a list together, and that's how you normally move an event. They took a much more approach, more like when you have a tender for sport. So part A was actually, what is this event worth to a city? So we do a big economic impact study. Typically, an event of Ice's size would be about 130 million direct and indirect impact on the city, but it actually is 244 million because gaming people love to eat well, drink well. We build flashy, beautiful stands, put oxygen chambers on them. So it's worth a huge amount of money. So actually, part of that is then when we go to a city, we can talk about, first of all, you're going to get 240 plus million, and we'll know what we're doing the same study for Barcelona, so we'll know that in a few weeks. But not only that, one of the conversations we had is actually we want to work with you as a city as part of your, I guess, financial objectives. Like, how do we bring gaming into that around? And a big part of my job is convincing these cities this is a technology business. We're all about technology, innovation, jobs, entertainment, and actually we're a sector you want in your city. So part of that shortlist was making sure that they wanted us. They were going to welcome us in. Then it was looking at days available, can the venue fit us, all the boring practical things. And from there, I could go on for hours on this, but we created a weighted algorithm of, like, I think, it's a year or so ago now, but I think it was 50% customer. And that was, so the decision was all scored with all crazy matrices and things. But 50% customer split between visitor and exhibitor. 30% industry. So does it work for events? Is it a city that's built for events, but also is it a city that embraces gaming and wants to be part of the growth? And then 20% Clarion. Because to be honest, if we don't weight it on the customer and whether we can do the event there, it's pointless us having an opinion. And then of our 20%, we made 72% of that non-financial. So the very last bit was financial, because if we knew we'd save money, even staying in London, because we're negotiating. So it couldn't be about money. It had to be about what's right for the industry. And from there, there's hundreds, and it's fascinating, and I'm happy to share the detail, but hundreds of different lines. So cost of exhibiting, ease of transportation, and then we'd map all, like, everything from the route to the airport to the city centre to this to
Yeah, and this one,
hotel stock, typical like cost of a sandwich.
this venue is a little bit tricky because it's a little bit apart from everything.
Yeah.
It's big, but the good hotels are not nearby.
No.
But not far by taxi.
But and to be
15,
honest,
20 minutes max.
a big part is learning that the metro is okay. And
And
I am
the
learning
true,
my metro,
true,
and it's so easy, so easy. And actually, because I saw a few people on day one moaning, the taxi queue was like 45 minutes an hour. Some people are using Uber. We block Uber as part because we have to work with the police and we have to work with the city. So Uber is blocked from picking up around the venue, which we keep telling people, because actually if we don't block them, the local taxis are going to boycott our event. I'll tell you what, no one's getting a taxi then.
Exactly.
So a lot of it's working politically, but use the metro is all I can say. But so it's a lot of maths. We then take that to an advisory board of some of our biggest exhibitors, and walk them through that presentation. And luckily, I think 1 abstained, 2 wanted London, and actually have some pretty big stands here. So luckily they weren't that angry, and 19 I think wanted Barcelona. So if it hadn't, my biggest fear is if it had been 50-50, I would have had to make the choice, and luckily I didn't. So it's definitely but Barcelona is becoming one of the best cities to host an event, but it's more, for me, it's about the relationship we're going to have with this city, and not just now, it's slow, and we're even now working on so we have a big PR company that's working with all the regulators, all the mass media, all the politicians to help them understand this is the greatest sector that you can work with. And if you want to be the capital of responsible gaming for Europe, we can help you do that. And we can help with investment, we can help bring companies here. And they're more than happy to also talk to startups, founders. This is only the start.
Are you going to try in that relationship you have with the Spanish or the Catalan authorities, governments, to attract gaming companies to set up offices here in Barcelona?
It will be part, I think, of the medium to long-term plan. That is more a role for them, but a big part of our vision and my vision is around that innovation. Actually, how do we attract smart startups, clever people to put their ideas into gaming, and I go to Mobile World Congress, which is a big event that happens in a few weeks from now. They have a part of that event called 4YFM, which is 4 years from now, and there's 500 or 600 startups. Catalan has a stand, Spain, Madrid, all lots of funding and just really interesting co-working space. But I'd say 40% of the companies when I walk around there could be in gaming, and it's MarTech, Legal Tech, Reg Tech, exciting, dynamic businesses, but they don't know that right here is one of the best sectors they could come into, and part of our job is to help them with that. And I don't know if you saw Ever's been working with a technology association in Spain. So this week they were doing guided tours with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, but also Blackstone, Jefferies, Barclays. So big. We're trying to take investors and technology companies to say, look, you probably already work in this space, but you don't realize you should focus on it.
So Clarion is owned by Blackstone, right?
We are, yeah.
So what can be the impact of that? I'm sure you played a role also when you came here to know that such a big VC was behind.
Yeah, no, I think it helps. To be honest, interestingly, they do own a lot of companies in the gaming market. So people like GeoComply, Sursa, and a few others. But interestingly, we don't really leverage that, and they don't expect. So they won't call and say, "Can you make sure that they're getting a free stand?" But what we will do is
have a secret handshake like a Blackstone.
I wish, but it does help where they have businesses in Spain. Actually, are able to connect us with people that have some really established long-term relationships with in the town hall and with various politicians and newspapers. So that's been really useful because it doesn't give us a standing start.
Right.
But look, having someone like Blackstone behind us gives us, I guess, when times are good, a lot of freedom to grow and be inquisitive, whether it's in gaming or other sectors. That's a big part of Clarion has been about acquisitions, and particularly acquisitions of founder-led businesses, entrepreneur-led businesses, because we believe we have a home for them to then grow and then hopefully exit a bigger number. But yes, they're a good partner.
I hear that. Thank you. And I know I don't know how long it's gonna take you to evaluate how much was it of a success to move Ice to Barcelona, but can you tell us something? It's almost the end.
I think anecdotally, I mean, if it's not a success, then I am like, someone needs to fire me. Because
I can say from my side, it looks like a massive success.
The greatest thing about events, though, is you never get it right. So there's always there's so much more, and it's our first time in the venue, so so much more we can do, so much more we can add to the experience. For me, there's a big evolution going on in events anyway, especially post-COVID. Like, we want to have a consumer experience even if we're at a business event. So I think there's lots we can do around that. So I'm really excited. We'll do a load of analysis after. Interestingly, the kind of metrics, the traditional metric people will be looking at is things like NPS, but we've done a ton of analysis across our whole portfolio and found that actually it's value for money, and that doesn't necessarily mean ROI because some people aren't looking for leads. Value for money, propensity to return, and importance of show. Those three metrics will tell us if we're going to be good next year. And I think we'll be ticking a bunch, but I'm more interested in what can we learn? Like, how do we make the journey better? How do we make more people download the app or whatever it may? I mean, I've
downloaded the app for one of the first time. I think I've downloaded it 2 times. The localization part, the format is amazing.
But the interesting bit that for me...
But you didn't have it for IGB, yeah? You had it for Ice, but not for IGB.
Yeah, no, they have got one.
Yeah.
They have got one. They just obviously marketed it really badly to you. But the more interesting thing, and I'll show you afterwards, because we're collecting so much data as a business. And traditionally events, for me, I especially coming from a publishing and digital background, found it frustrating that it is still run like the same market stall that was running in ancient Greece. Like, why are we not monitoring where people are going, what they're doing, who they're meeting? And now we have scan data, we have app data, we know what meeting requests are happening, we know what you're telling us in your registration, what you want to achieve, we know whether you hit that or not. But we can then cross that because we own that first party data. We can then cross that into our digital platform and understand your behavior across the whole year. And if we start to understand that, then we can deliver a much better experience. And that's the bit that just makes me excited, not just for the visitor, but for you. I can talk to you about, look, your team trying to reach out to these 10 types of people rather than individuals, and actually, but they didn't meet with you, but they met with them. And let's look at why that happened. Not that anyone wouldn't meet with your team, but for others that are struggling in life, there's some real opportunity to start to delve into the numbers and data behind an event.
That's interesting. I mean, I would love to
we'll see how high-clicked you are.
Yeah. That type of stuff. Are you going to give us that?
I've got it. I'll have to refresh it in a second.
Cool. Is there any big trend you're seeing lately? It doesn't have to be this year, last year. We've seen crypto crash games, a new type of games in 2016, 17. Is there anything noticeable that you've seen in the iGaming industry that you think we should look, or investments or whatever?
For me, where I'm focused is more, and where I'm excited, and it may come to nothing, but we can start to see kind of grassroots of opportunity, which I never in my entire worldly life thought we'd ever see, is in the UAE. As I see True. And we ran some work with the regulator here and ran a session, and it's still very closed door information. But for me, and it's not necessarily a new game or a new piece of technology, but for me
there was something, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, so we ran that with the GCGRA.
Closed doors, no camera, no.
So it's just talking about the size of the opportunity, the regulatory and compliance rules and licensing. But for me, that is an amazing market if it opens up.
Yeah.
Like amazing. And then when I talk to, so Kevin, who's ex-CEO of GLI, he's now the CEO of GCGRA, he's all about, they want, and just like Dubai, just like the UAE, they want to be at the forefront of all innovation. They don't care what sector. And if they're going to do it in gaming, they want to work with the most innovative suppliers in our sector and help them, and quote unquote, but I'm sorry, not quote, he has not said this, but my interpretation is almost like create the regulatory framework to encourage and create the biggest innovation that we'll see. And I think you see it, everything they do in the Middle East is challenging whatever's in the norm. So if they deliver what they say, I think it'll be really exciting to see what comes out of there. And not just online, even just the way the architecture and the approach for design of things like the land-based casinos and how people will play within those, and it won't just necessarily be in a physical room. So they're talking about VR and AR and all sorts of like interesting concepts that I'm sure we'll see in a couple of years when that casino opens.
Do you see Clarion running a show in the UAE anytime soon?
In gaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. If the market opens.
Because there's something a little bit ambiguous about that. I know Sigma is running a show there, and you can't put gaming. So if you're Alea Gaming, for example, which we're not anymore, but you couldn't put Alea Gaming, you should put Alea. If you're whatever casino, you're whatever, not casino. So there's some, let's say, cultural challenges. They want to go there, apparently.
Yeah.
They say so. But on the other side, the only gaming show that's there is not a real gaming show.
No,
so
I agree.
I see that a struggle how to go there. I'm not sure how they want to do it. It's like they want to do gaming, but they don't want to do gaming.
Yeah, I think it will be look, as you say, it's massively, it has to integrate from a cultural perspective, and I think that will take time. I think it will be slow, and I think that's why you don't see full-on gaming shows there yet, and you wouldn't, because there's no regulation currently in that market. But I think when it comes in, I think as long as you're working hand, and the way Clarion has events in the Middle East already, and the way we always will do it is usually with a partner. So I think if we were to do something, we'd do it with a partner, and that would help guide how it would look, how we'd bring things in. But I think at that point, you'd hope that the regulation would be in and be clear, so people definitely call it gaming.
Okay.
Definitely.
Let's hope so.
Let's see.
Okay.
End of this year.
Okay.
No, I mean, that's a prediction.
I will coach you on that. Last question. If somebody working in this industry or a young entrepreneur, or not young, doesn't matter, would want to go on this journey of founding a company, being an entrepreneur, what advice would you give them?
The really obvious ones, but listen, I think this market loves to share. Like, it might pretend it's the most closed door secret market, but it loves to share, and competitors will help competitors, and people will help. And some of the most successful people I've seen in this market is they just listen and ask questions. And I think a big thing for me is around karma. I think, again, it might feel like a big market. It's not. It's really small.
Yeah.
Be good, good, be kind, and everything comes back around.
Karma goes very much faster in the iGaming industry than anywhere else, because we are very small world.
And I think, and that's partly goes back to that. When you make mistakes, people forgive you because you were like, it sounds ridiculous, but I've kind of lived my life on being a kind person. Do your best, listen,
I agree.
and somehow, and a bit of luck, also work bloody hard, because this isn't an industry to be lazy in.
I agree. I want to talk about someone very quickly. I want to talk about Brian Bailey.
Who?
Brian Bailey.
Oh, yeah.
Casinomeister. Who sold his business to Catena.
Yeah.
Gentoo?
Gigs.
Gentoo.
Yeah.
Gentoo. so I started in 2004.
Yeah.
And the first resources I had was Casinomeister. And that's where I've learned my ethos about online gambling. Because I think that if I wouldn't have gone on that forum, wouldn't have communicated, talked with other players,
Yeah.
the moderators also, all this community, I may have done things very differently.
Yeah.
I may have done things less kindly and more money focused.
Yeah.
The fact that also I exposed myself there and people would know who I am and I would tell what I'm doing and who I am, I wouldn't be able to fuck up, otherwise it would become public.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to build up myself a reputation, and these people are high expectations.
Yeah.
And I remember when we launched B2C Slots Million, we were going there and we were being very open with the community and other like Ask Gamblers and latest casino bonuses, but Casinomeister was the main one, and the personality, very quirky personality of Brian Bailey, taught me a lot.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he's brilliant. He is
Yeah.
brilliant. And he was never in it for the money.
Never for the
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
and always about transparency.
Yeah.
And with so much knowledge. I've learned so much
Yeah.
on
And the best
Casinomeister.
awards ever.
And the
I love his awards.
Oh yeah,
But he's brilliant because
Yeah, true.
no matter how much money people would throw at him, you couldn't buy like his integrity.
You couldn't buy him.
And he's just,
couldn't
yeah,
buy
he's
it.
just always, I mean, slightly peculiar at times, but like always fun. And you can see like when he did his offline drinks at things like Ice in London,
Yeah. In that bar. What was
you'd
it?
meet the members and you meet people and they're passionate and they're, a lot of them aren't getting paid to do it, they just love it.
Yeah, and affiliates, and they were not for the money. You could see that they were not for the money. So I would say that maybe one of the people I respect the most in this industry is not anymore, is Brian,
Yeah.
and from whom I've learned the most, and from whom I've learned my ethics. That
Yeah.
you should not do that. So sometimes, you know, I had some bad ideas like cookie stuffing and shit
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
when I was an affiliate. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Because if
Don't be evil.
if Brian sees it, or if the community of
Yeah,
Casinomeister
that's
sees
true.
it, you're gonna look like a monkey. You know?
Yeah.
Just don't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Don't make yourself ridiculous. It's so funny to have this kind of moral authority that's here over you, that you know that is looking at you, from whom you're learning so much. I think Casinomeister, Brian played a strong role in our industry.
If you think about it, in the gaming sector, we had to self-regulate for years. So actually, in order, like Cap, who we partnered with, the whole reason that existed was because there were some dodgy affiliate programs that were screwing over affiliates. Someone needed to create a vehicle in order to share this information, and all the time, like like anything responsible gambling was all created from inside the sector. Associations grew up and certifications, all sorts of things. So it was.
There was EPWA.
So
also,
interestingly, we've kind of created the regulation before the regulators came.
Yeah.
So I think, you've always almost it's sewed into the DNA of gaming. Who needs regulators when we've got ourselves?
Yeah.
Can't use that.
Okay.
They are important.
Yeah. You know, I've been through 4 UKGC audits, and that's when I decided to move towards B2B.
Much
I
easier.
just couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Really nasty.
But the regulators not coming after the suppliers now? They almost really.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the evolution case.
Yeah,
I mean,
keep seeing
public.
that. Yeah.
It's public. It's the first one.
Yeah.
And it sends a strong signal. The suppliers always felt that they were in the shadow, and the one were exposed were the one that were the closest to the players, with Big Brother behind, which were the operators, but now also software providers.
So it can't be long till affiliates are pulled into that as well, but let's see.
Yeah.
Because I think at the moment they hold the operator accountable for the affiliate, but I'm not sure that's probably the right way of going about it.
In France, for example, as there is no regulation on online casino, the affiliates are all accountable directly.
Yeah. Are they getting prosecuted?
Yeah, completely.
Oh wow.
They are.
Interesting.
I mean, there's no big case of prosecution, but they close the website. And they call them. They go to the police, and at the end, it's not jail. You don't do it anymore. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know French, they bark a lot.
Sorry?
I say, French, they bark a lot.
Yeah.
You remember back in time,
Yeah.
I think, who got caught in France? Was it David Caruder? No, it wasn't David Caruder. It was another one. He got caught in France and they released him after 3 days.
I do remember that.
It was in early 2000.
Passing through. Yeah, no, I do remember that.
Yeah. All right. Alex, thank you very much
Pleasure.
for participating to this podcast.
We should, for context, tell people that this was day 3 of Ice. So we've been here for 5 days. So hopefully it makes sense. But no, thank you,
man.
Good friend.
So let's release the pressure.